Yet at the same time, you're aware of many possibilities, and you feel as though you're really a part of your surrounding world. Are these special times simply a gift of grace? Or is there a way you can actively participate in making these magical moments an integral part of your everyday reality? Well, there is a way. It's called the focused mind state, and it's a whole new model of concentration. Dr. Joel and Michelle Levy.
When you think about the focused mind state, what kinds of images come to your mind? Do you associate the focused mind state with images of heroic effort, with tense muscles, furrowed brows, and set jaws? When you think of getting focused, does your body get tense? Do you think of Rodin's thinker statue straining, tense, and uncomfortable? Or do you envision the composure and the poise of a peak-performing athlete, the fluidity and elegant grace of a martial artist, or the powerful, peaceful presence and radiant joy of a master of the contemplative arts?
Correct concentration is more like holding a delicate bird or a butterfly in your palm. The trick is to find an even balance of effort and effortlessness, of determination and allowing, of directing the flow of mental energy and resting in that flow. Concentration combined with the right amount of relaxation, both mentally and physically, is the real secret to success.
You're now on the road to becoming a more productive, efficient, and happier person with this brand new audio program from Nightingale Conant. Authors Joel and Michelle Levy have distilled over 50 years of cumulative research, study, and work in the cognitive sciences to bring you a variety of methods that really work to improve concentration. These techniques have a wide range of application. They've been used by individuals to decrease stress and tension, improve personal relationships, increase the level of enjoyment at work, and even to improve the game of golf. They've also been used at the organizational level, from managers wishing to increase the productivity of their employees to corporate-wide efforts to produce a higher quality workplace. No matter where or how you decide to implement these methods, one thing is for sure. Your quality of life will increase dramatically by learning to bring a greater quality of attention to whatever you do. Nightingale Conant is pleased to bring you the Focused Mind State.
Hi, I'm Joel Levy.
And I'm Michelle Levy.
Over the course of the past 25 years, we've had the rare opportunity to study, practice, and train intensively in the mind sciences with many of the most accomplished and respected scientific researchers and traditional teachers of our time. Our intensive research and training has led us to study and teach in many of the most renowned laboratories and training centers in the world, and to share what we've learned with thousands of people. Throughout this series, you'll be introduced to a myriad of powerful methods of mastery necessary to focus and strengthen your concentration. Most of these methods have been rigorously developed, tested, and refined in the training centers of the world's great wisdom traditions over thousands of years. And we've taught these methods to tens of thousands of peak performers in world-class and Olympic arenas of sports and business. Nearly all of the methods included here came to us from our mentors and mental fitness coaches, who include many of the world's most respected authorities in both the modern and ancient traditions of cognitive science. You'll hear stories of our study and research with these remarkable people in the segments to come. To make these methods of focusing attention work for you, we suggest that you practice them for brief periods of time frequently throughout the day. You can do this almost anywhere, sitting at your desk, waiting at a bus stop, walking in the park, any situation where you can give your full, complete attention to these methods. We strongly suggest that you do not perform any of the exercises in this tape series while driving or doing any other task that requires your full attention. You can use your drive time to become familiar with the scope of the program and save the exercises for a time where your hands and, most importantly, your mind are free. As you perform the exercises, each breath becomes a reminder to wake up, an invitation to focus the power of your mind on what you're doing. You'll find that with regular practice, your mind will grow more focused, more fluid, more flexible, and more under the control of your own creative intelligence. Let's begin by defining the focused mind state and the power it will give you to channel your energy towards your desired outcome. The focused mind state is a quality of attention that leads to optimal concentration. It's a balanced state that's neither rigidly tense nor too relaxed. The focused mind state is a quality of mind that's under your control. And this means Let's begin by defining the focused mind state and the power it will give you to channel your energy towards your desired outcome. The focused mind state is a quality of attention that leads to optimal concentration. It's a balanced state that's neither rigidly tense nor too relaxed. The focused mind state is a quality of mind that's under your control. And this means that you have the ability to focus your attention on whatever you choose. You can maintain that quality of focus in an undistracted way, and you can control and choose the quality of attention that you focus. Your ability to focus your attention in these ways mean that you'll be better equipped to enhance the quality of your life, work, and relationships. Since the quality of attention is so fundamental to the quality of your life, you could say that your ability or inability to focus your mind provides a fairly accurate measure of how in control or out of control you are of your own life. Having ordered this audio program, you've already demonstrated a sincere interest in learning how to build the power of your concentration and gain mastery over your attention. When you think about the focused mind state or about optimal states of performance, keep in mind that these aren't totally foreign to you. If you think about your life, I'm sure you can remember some times, some magic and special moments that stand out and sparkle in the scrapbook of your memory. Pause for a moment now and reflect back on the near and distant past, scanning through your inner scrapbook, and find a time or times when you knew what it really felt like to be in focus. Can you remember the times in your life when you felt most fully alive and in the flow? The times when your attention was so completely captured by the sweet intensity of the moment that nothing else dared to intrude. Can you remember the times when you just relaxed into the flow and felt yourself carried and supported, moving effortlessly and easily through some activity? Or a time when everything just clicked into place effortlessly and you didn't have to try to get things to work. They just happened. Can you remember those magic moments that sparkle for you in the scrapbook of your life? The times when you were alone, and the times with others, the times in nature, and the times at home or at work when everything just flowed wonderfully and easily into place. And there was joy, and wonder, and gratitude, and deep connectedness, and love. For a special moment here and there, sweet moments in your journey. And at those times, can you remember what was most alive for you then? How did it feel in your body at those times? What deep, sweet, powerful forces were most ablaze and lit up within you then? What qualities and strengths of mind were most present? What emotions resonated most deeply and vibrantly within you? And what states of mind or qualities of attention were activated within you during those special moments? Can you remember how it felt to be that intensely alive, that fully present, that completely in the flow? Can you remember what it felt like to be alive at those magic moments in your life? Each of you can probably tell your own special stories about these extraordinary moments when you were fully focused and in the flow. Not surprisingly, if you were to travel around the world and ask people to describe those special moments in their life when they were most fully in the flow or in the zone or at their peak of performance, people the world over will describe the experience in much the same terms. Again and again, you'll hear people describe experiencing a deep, flowing, effortless sense of concentration, a vivid sense of clarity of goals or of being on purpose and aligned with what has real value, a loss or warping in the sense of time, and a deeper sense of connectedness or belonging. For example, Charles Lindbergh described an experience of the focused mind state during his historic solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean. "My cockpit is small," he said, "and the walls are thin, but inside this cocoon I feel secure, despite the speculations of my mind. I become minutely conscious of the details of my cockpit, of the instruments, the levers, the angles of the construction. Each item takes on a new value. I study the weld marks on the tubing, frozen ripple of steel through which pass invisible hundredweights of strain, a dot of radiolite paint on the altimeter's face, a battery of fuel valves. All such things which I've never considered much before are now obvious and important. I may be flying a complicated airplane rushing through space, but in this cabin I'm surrounded by simplicity and thoughts set free of time." In many cases, people say that these are the moments most worth living for, the special moments that shine like beacons in your life, that remind you of what you're really looking for and what you're really capable of doing and being.
In this tape series, you'll learn that the key to the focused mind state is a quality of dynamic or fluid concentration. This is very different from static concentration that tends to be rigid, constricted, tense, and inflexible. As you well know, the more rigid a system is, the more vulnerable it is to collapse. This applies not only to trees blown in a storm, but to ways of thinking and forms of relationship that, like a tree with shallow roots, may or may not be flexible enough to sustain the fierce winds of change. Learning to focus your mind with dynamic concentration will equip you with a wealth of powerful skills and strategies to carry the power of the focused mind state into every activity of your life and work. In essence, learning to live and work in the flow of the focused mind state means learning how to put the mind to work for you. To accomplish this, you must learn to understand the nature of your mind and to learn how to use and direct the energy and power of your mind more effectively. Though you rely upon many wonderful tools and technologies to live your life, ultimately, the mind is your most important and primary tool. With the mind, you envision and design all other tools and direct the way they're used. Though your mind is your primary tool, it seems that surprisingly few people have really studied what it is or how to use it most effectively. And though the inner technologies and systematic technical training of the mind sciences exist, they're just now beginning to become more widely studied and respected in our culture. At different times in the great cultures of our world, it was simply taken for granted that a person wasn't really mature or even human unless she or he had learned to master their thoughts and feelings. A high priority was given to self-discipline and personal mastery in many ancient cultures. Ancient China, Rome during the time of the Republic, the inner science monasteries of Europe and Tibet, and the wisdom ways of the native peoples of the world. At other times, personal mastery disciplines have been held in less high esteem. Those who devoted the personal attention and discipline necessary to gain greater control over their lives were sometimes regarded as oddballs who were out of sync with the trends of their time and who were out of touch with what really mattered. Yet regardless of the dictates of fashion, it's clear that in whatever age or culture you live in, those individuals who do gain mastery over their minds live a happier and generally healthier life. And when you think about the people who've made the most valuable contributions to the lives of others, they're often the ones who've done the most work on themselves. If you look at the world in which you live now, it seems clear that our culture is just beginning to take a more serious interest in balancing the power of ordinary science and technology with the wisdom of the inner sciences and technologies. In decades past, learning and practicing methods for enhancing the quality of your mind, health, and performance was often considered to be a luxury reserved for a privileged few. But now, as our world has become increasingly more complex, more unpredictable, and more stressful, it's clear that mind fitness training is no longer a luxury, but a necessary imperative that will have a lot to do with the quality of life and work in the decades to come.
Let's take a look now at 3 of the most essential features of the focused mind state that are necessary for the mastery of attention. These are the qualities of focus, flow, and flexibility of attention. Though each of these facets are closely related, we'll take some time now to introduce you to each of these diamond-like qualities that give sparkle and brilliance to the concentrative mind. The first of these 3 keys to the mastery of attention is learning how to focus your attention. For example, at this very moment, notice what you're most aware of. If you're driving, you may be aware of the car in front of you or the sounds around you. If you're at home or at the office, you may be aware of something on the table in front of you or the smell of a freshly brewed cup of coffee or the flowers on your desk. Good. Now consciously and intentionally shift your attention to focus on something else. Perhaps zero in on a magazine cover, a light fixture, or the tactile sensations of your hands on the steering wheel. Alternately, you might choose to focus on the floor, or the ceiling, or on your breath, or on your thoughts. One of the most effective methods for developing your concentration works with synchronizing your breathing and your focusing of attention. If you like, you can do this now. As you inhale, imagine focusing your attention within yourself. And as you breathe out, imagine that you can direct the focused power of your attention in whatever direction you so choose. Breathing in and focusing. Breathing out and directing the focused beam of your awareness wherever you choose. Focus the energy or the light of your awareness, and then beam it out to illuminate whatever you choose, focusing and directing, focusing and radiating. If you practice in this way, you'll find that your attention becomes like a bright spotlight capable of illuminating and seeing more clearly whatever you choose to focus on. Many people find that this method is activated and made easier by synchronizing the breathing and focusing with a simple movement or gesture. You might enjoy experimenting with this. How I do this is that when I breathe in, I simply make a motion of drawing in with my hand, and with the exhalation I make a gesture of sending out. Another way to do this is to make a counterclockwise motion with my right hand, bringing it to my heart at the fullness of my inhalation. And as I exhale, I point with my right palm in the direction that I choose to focus. If you play with this a bit, your body will teach you some simple, fluid gestures that will work for you. This can be as simple as curling the fingers in as you inhale and curling them open as you exhale. Using a gesture will help you focus your attention in a tangible way and will, in a very real sense, help you to get a hold of your mind. We often introduce simple versions of these methods to our corporate clients who appreciate having something concrete that they can do to focus their minds. In long meetings, I often find that making some very subtle gesture synchronized with my breathing is extremely helpful to stay concentrated on what's going on. I'll very intentionally focus the beam of my attention on whoever's speaking and do this as sort of a game to see how fully present and awake I can be.
The second method of learning to master the quality of your attention is learning how to allow momentary focus of concentration to become a flow of continuous and sustained attention. To accomplish this, you can choose a focus of attention and tether your mind to the object with your breathing. As you inhale, allow the focus of your attention to become more vivid, and as you exhale, experience your attention flowing toward or into the object or idea that you're focusing on. One very simple way to develop the flow of attention is to simply be mindful of the flow of your breathing. As you inhale, ride the waves of the breath into a vivid awareness of this present moment. As you exhale, ride the waves of the breath into this moment. Use the continuous flow of the breath to help you build a continuity and flow of attention. If your attention wanders off, simply smile to yourself, and with the next breath, focus your attention again and let it flow. When you get the flow of this approach, then every breath throughout the day can become a reminder to build the focus and the flowing of your attention. That means approximately 21,600 breaths each day that can help you flex your concentration muscles. If your mind is busy with many distracting thoughts, you may find it helpful to add the following tweak to this process. Since the mind likes to talk to itself, as you synchronize your breathing with your attention, add to it a simple verbalization. This can help to anchor your attention in your current reality and to focus the power of energy and awareness. So, for example, to do this as you inhale, think or softly say to yourself, in. And as you exhale, softly think or say to yourself, out. If you like, this can be modified to focusing and flowing, or to receiving and radiating. As you do this, you may notice that after a few minutes, the volume of your internal chatter begins to diminish, and your mind is more quiet, calm, and focused. As the mind grows more quiet, you can simply set aside the mental noting of in and out breathing and simply rest in the direct experience of the flow of continuous awareness without the need for the mental repetitions. If after a while the mind becomes more active again and full of thoughts, then again resume with the brief and simple notation of in and out until the internal chatter subsides. You'll learn much more about this in the tapes to come on mindfulness and single-pointed concentration.
The third method for building the power of your concentration is to develop a greater flexibility of attention. Your flexibility of attention allows you to shift your attention from one object to another or from one mode of attention to another. Just as a flexible body allows you to move in an infinite variety of complex ways and to perform an infinite array of complex activities, your flexibility of attention offers you similar freedom to give you the power to control the movements of your mind. The greater your mental flexibility, the greater is your power and creativity to move your mind through an infinite array of possible moves and functions. Please keep in mind that the flexibility of your attention is directly related to the versatility and adaptability of your nervous system. The more rigid and inflexible your mind, the more rigid and limited will be your brain function. As you develop greater flexibility of mind and body, you'll find that your brain is able to handle more and more complex situations, and that you're able to deal with greater challenges without feeling nearly as much distress. Properly understood, developing mastery of attention is really building a mind that is what our teachers call fit for action. The quality of your life and work is closely related to your ability to shift between different ways of thinking, viewing, and working with the creative challenges that life brings to you. Your flexibility of attention allows you to shift from focusing on one person to focusing on another, or from thinking about one project to giving your complete attention to think about another. As your resilience and versatility of attention grows, you'll be able to shift mental gears more easily, more fluidly, from one way of looking at a situation or thinking about a situation to another point of view. For example, you can focus your attention towards someone in a critical manner or in an appreciative way, and you can shift back and forth between multiple styles of thinking about the same situation. Your ability to be mindful of where your attention is focused and how your attention is directed is the critical key to your creative intelligence. When mindfulness is combined with a highly flexible or versatile quality of attention, you're able to really investigate, explore, and develop the full power of your creative intelligence and the powers of your mind.
Now here's a simple method for developing your flexibility of attention during your working day. First, you'd select an anchor of attention, or primary task. This may be to give your full attention to reading a memo, or to writing a report, or to planning a presentation. For the moment, since you're listening to this tape, let's just use your hands as the anchor for your attention. But keep in mind that in actual applied practice, you might choose the act of reading, writing, or planning as your anchor of attention or primary task. Begin by focusing your concentration on your target task or anchor. In this case, begin by finding your hands. Good. Now just zoom in and feel them. And notice their position. And feel all the sensations or vibrations in your hands. And now, intentionally shift your attention to focus on some interesting object in your visual field. Just let go of focusing on your hands and focus completely on this visual object. Good. And now shift your attention back to your hands again. If it's helpful for you, you can use your inhalation to focus your attention, and then allow the exhalation to direct the flow of your attention. And now, once again, intentionally shift your attention to listen to the flow of sounds around you in this moment. Listen intently, without needing to think about what you hear. Just listen. Yes, and now, back to your hands, your home base, your chosen project for the moment. Next, shift your attention to observing the flow of thoughts and images in your mind without needing to elaborate on these thoughts. Just watch the flow for a moment. And now, shift to focus your attention on the sensations at the top of your head. And then to your hands. To the taste in your mouth. And back again now to let the focus of your attention flow into your hands. Good. The power of this approach is that it teaches you to take greater control of where and how you direct your attention. For the untrained and undisciplined mind, an enormous amount of time and energy is wasted every day because attention is largely out of your control. The mind seems to have a mind of its own, wandering wherever it will, regardless of where you'd like it to stay focused. In learning to be more mindful of where your attention is directed, and to be more intentional about shifting it from one focus of attention to another, you'll be developing a vital personal mastery skill. If you're interested in building the power of your concentration, we suggest that you experiment with this method live and online while you're working throughout the day. To do this, begin by stating clearly to yourself what task you choose as your anchor or target task. Then focus your attention on that task, reading the report, planning the sales call, or whatever it may be. After a short while, intentionally shift your attention to focus on another object or theme of thought, and focus your attention completely there. Then after a moment, or a conscious breath or two, release that focus and bring your attention back to focus on your original target task. After a short while, shift your attention again to focus completely for a few moments on another object or another sense modality. Perhaps shift to listening to sounds in the office around you, or to noticing the sensations in your right hand or left knee. Then again, bring your attention back as a powerful beam of laser-like attention to focus in on your target. Continue with this shuttling of attention toward and away from your selected activity for 5 to 10 minutes. Then relax and be mindful of the flow of thoughts, sensations, and images without needing to change a thing. If you experiment with this method of shuttling your attention, you'll develop more than just flexibility of attention. By learning to consciously shift your attention wherever you choose, you'll develop your willpower and the focusing power of your intentionality. This concrete example of your power to direct the energy of your own mind will help build your confidence in your ability to improve the quality of your concentration and other qualities of mind. So far in this program, you've learned about how the qualities of mindfulness, focus, and flow keep your attention focused to see your current reality more clearly and deeply, and also how the quality of flexibility of attention enables you to creatively modify how and where you're directing your attention, your intention, and your action. As you learn to focus your attention carefully and continuously on what you're doing, thinking, or feeling, each moment will come alive for you and will reveal a wealth of insights. And as your powers of concentration grow, you'll begin to discover many creative options that were previously hidden. Taken all together, mindfulness, focus, flow, and flexibility of attention are truly at the heart of creative intelligence. As you strengthen one quality of mind, many others are enhanced at the same time.
If you pause to think about it, you'll find that the focused mind state has both short-term and long-term applications. Short-term, staying focused means disciplining your mind to stay more fully present in the moment with whatever you're doing. Since this moment is the place of your greatest power, the more fully you're able to show up with your mind, body, energy, and spirit focus, the more effective you will be. The long-term expressions of the focused mind state show up as a clarity and consistency of purpose, and a dedicated commitment to something in your life. This might be the commitment to stay focused on your studies long enough to complete a course or degree. Or this may reflect the commitment necessary to go through all the red tape to buy a house or start a new business. Living on purpose and staying true to your commitments keeps your energy and attention focused to produce results. It's like setting out for a long sailing voyage. If you have a strong commitment to reach a certain destination, your energies, attention, and effort will be focused so that you're careful to continually make the course corrections and adjustments necessary to reach your goal in the shortest possible time. If your commitment is lax, you may spin off into many interesting but perhaps unproductive intrigues that postpone or prevent you from reaching your supposedly important destination. In our work with extraordinary achievers, we've witnessed many successes and breakthroughs. While breakthroughs in performance may seem to come by grace, it's clear that you can make yourself more available to the inspiration, dynamic power, and precision that manifests as extraordinary performance. The critical difference between being an ordinary or an extraordinary athlete is that the master consciously observes, uses, and enhances the functions of the mind-body, which the ordinary person unconsciously relies on. In sports and in business, if you're really committed to achieving certain goals, then you'll be motivated to work on yourself and to ask for the coaching necessary to improve your performance and accelerate your progress. Like many skills and fine arts that you may learn, the cultivation of concentration is a gradual process of continuous learning and improvement. And since the quality of your life depends on the quality of your attention, the time, energy, and attention that you focus on strengthening your concentration will give you tremendous returns on your investment.
So as we come to the close of Side 1, we'd like to suggest 3 strategies that you can use to get the most from this tape series. First, listen with an open mind. Second, think about and question what you've heard. Challenge yourself to discover how these ideas and methods apply to the unique conditions of your life at this time. Thirdly, to get the most from these instructions, you'll need to put them into practice and test them out in the laboratory and on the training field of your life. You simply can't passively take a pill or plug into a machine that's going to strengthen your mental muscles and build your powers of concentration for you. However, you'll find that training the mind is in many ways easier than physical training, since you don't need to wait for a special time or place. You already have everything that you need to improve the quality of your attention. Just turn up the juice on your personal commitment to continuously learn and improve the quality of your own life, and you're ready to go.
On Side 1, you learned about some of the key principles of mind fitness training, such as focus, flow, and flexibility. On this side, you'll be introduced to more members of the winning team, including mental clarity, stability, and mindfulness. And you'll also learn more about the mechanisms of attention and how your biology, your language, and your questions focus your attention. Let's begin by exploring the difference between light bulbs and laser beams. You'll see in a minute what this has to do with developing a focused mind state. In many ways, the process of building the strength of your concentration is analogous to transforming a light bulb into a laser beam. For example, both a 10-watt light bulb and a 10-watt laser beam operate on the same energy potential, but the laser beam manages its energy in a more energy-efficient manner than the light bulb and produces a more impressive and powerful result. So what's the difference? If the laser and the light bulb both have the same potential energy, why is one so much more powerful than the other? Well, the energy of the light bulb is really quite weak and not very useful because its energy is incoherent. What this means is that the emission of photons or light energy from the light bulb are chaotic, and that there's no real order or rhythm to its discharging of photons of light. As a consequence, the light of the 10-watt light bulb is very weak and not able to illuminate a very large area. If you were to transform the potential power of the light bulb into its most energy-efficient form, you would transform and reorganize its potential to create a 10-watt laser beam. The laser beam generates coherent light instead of incoherent light. What this means is that the laser beam manages all of its energy, the photons of light that it emits, so that they are pulsing at the same frequency. Thus, the laser beam's light rays surge rhythmically in sync with each other, as what's called coherent light.
Interestingly enough, if you look at a dynamic brain scan of two people, one who hasn't done disciplined practice in mental fitness training, and the other of a person who's really mastered the inner arts of mind fitness, the functioning of their brains would appear analogous to the 10-watt light bulb and the laser beam. The brain scan of a person who's mastered concentration looks more balanced, more beautiful, and more coherent compared to the other person. Some folks we know have before and after pictures of their own brain scans that show impressive shifts in their mind-brain development after periods of disciplined training. Building your concentration is very much like transforming your mind into a laser beam. This doesn't mean that you'll have to be highly focused all the time. There's biological value in having periods of more diffuse and less highly organized attention, such as relaxation and sleep. But concentration is a capability that's barely developed in most people and can bring enormous benefits to your life. As you succeed in developing a greater range and power of attention, you can learn to focus it in various ways. What we call concentration is simply one of many territories of consciousness, in which attention is focused upon a specific object or directed in a certain way. There are many other territories of consciousness, such as dreaming, sleeping, daydreaming, memory, fantasy, and so on. The concentrative states span a broad territory ranging from a momentary, superficial focus of attention to states of effortless, continuous attention in flow states of peak performance, to the deeply penetrating and powerful states of mind accessible in advanced stages of meditation.
With even a little thought, you can see quite quickly that the best way to develop a focused mind state is to enhance the quality of your attention and to strengthen your concentration. Why is the quality of attention so important? Because in every arena of your life, you can only change what you pay attention to. Control and choice follows upon awareness, and awareness follows upon where and how you direct your attention. The more deeply you're able to observe and think about your life and work, the more options you'll recognize and the more insight you'll have to choose the best path. So where do you begin? The first step is to gain a better understanding of your primary tool to do this work, and that's your mind-body. The challenge begins here, because as one of our colleagues, Dr. Charles Tart, a foremost researcher of human consciousness, says, we don't really understand our minds very well, and consequently, we don't use them very wisely. So for starters, we suggest that you begin to think about yourself, your mind-body, as being an energy transformer that receives, transforms, and generates energy or information from your environment. Viewed in this way, you can see that perhaps the primary life skills for you to learn are how to manage the flow of energy information through your system in a way that will optimize the quality of your health, your well-being, and your performance. Moment to moment, you're receiving, transforming, and generating energy. Your skill in doing this is directly related to the quality of your mental and physical health, the quality of your relationships, and how effectively you're able to accomplish whatever you set out to do. In essence, your greatest challenge is to learn to manage and focus your energy more efficiently in order to improve the quality of your mental and physical performance and the quality of your life, work, and relationships in general. This flow of energy into and through your system is like a stream of air flowing into a very sensitive instrument. Depending on how the stream is directed, it can create an enormous amount of noise. It could blow the instrument apart, or it could produce the sweetest music. The key to learning to play your instrument is largely in learning to listen, which is simply another way to say pay attention. As one of our mental fitness coaches would often say, the more you listen, the more you will hear. The more you hear, the more and more deeply you will understand. The more deeply you understand, the more masterfully you'll play your instrument and live your life. So we suggest that you begin to look at yourself as the one who manages the flow of energy and information into and through your life. Understanding that your attention and concentration direct and focus your energy, begin to view sights and sounds, smells, tastes, and touches as the flow of energy information. As your inner listening and understanding of this principle deepens, you'll notice that the quality of your concentration will naturally deepen as well. And as it does, you'll begin to notice that there's less noise in your life and more sweet music.
So here you are, listening to a tape series on the focused mind state and learning to focus the power of your mind better to create the kind of quality life that you'd like to live. You understand that the focused mind state is part of a larger domain of mastering attention, and you understand that this involves learning a higher degree of mastery over your mind. As you learn more about how the mind works, you'll understand how the questions that you live with organize your attention. Your questions and concerns organize your attention to be continually searching for clues and focusing on things that may reveal the answers that you seek. For example, just think about the last time you were in the market for a new car. All of a sudden, your attention started to zoom in on makes and models and colors of cars that a few months earlier probably wouldn't have called for so much attention. Such scanning may be conscious or unconscious, so that at unexpected moments, or in a dream, you may suddenly be struck by an insight or revelation that seems to have come out of nowhere. The conscious and unconscious questions that you live with focus an incredible amount of your energy and attention. If you understand this, then you can intentionally focus your attention on what has real priority for you. Your questions are like prayers. If you're hungry, you'll be praying for food. And this prayer will organize your attention until you find food. And if you're lonely, your unspoken prayer is for a companion. And your mind's energy and attention will be focused on searching for a friend. If you learn how to harness the power of the focused mind state, you can put this principle of using questions to focus your attention to work for you. Here are 3 simple guidelines to help you do this. First, watch where your attention goes and identify the questions and concerns that you live with. Make them conscious. Second, be clear and intentional about the questions that you live with. Let this clarity create an opening for the answers to appear in your life. And third, Learn to be more mindful and attentive to the flow of thoughts, inspirations, and experiences that come to mind. As every great scientist knows, the moment you begin to ask a question, clues begin to appear. They come like subtle nibbles on a fishhook, but if you're attentive to them, you can catch them. And the longer or more intently you cook on a question, the more clues will come your way, if you're also focused and receptive enough to catch them in the net of your awareness. As you become more intentional about living your questions and more watchful of the flow of your mind, you can accelerate your personal R&D process and find the answers to your questions more quickly. The great poet Rainer Maria Rilke put it this way: "Be patient toward all that's unresolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves like locked rooms and like books that are written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given to you because you'd not be able to live them." And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then, gradually, without noticing it, live along someday into the answer. You see, the quality of your consciousness, the quality of your attention, and the quality of your life are all dependent upon each other. It's as though the way you focus and direct your attention is like a fantastic airbrush that assembles and creates your picture of the world.
So now let's take a closer look at some of the forces that focus and direct your attention. You may have wondered what determines where and how your attention is directed. As a biological being, this body that you're riding around in, as far as we know, is the most sensitive antenna in the whole universe. Depending on how you focus your attention, this antenna is constantly scanning its inner and outer environment in response to a host of complex biological and genetic programs. For example, you're hungry and you're walking down the street. Your biological need is going to lead you to notice the restaurants, delis, and fruit stands, or the fruit trees depending on your neighborhood. At the same time, you're a social being, and you've been programmed from a very early age to value and focus on some things more than others. For example, your family and upbringing may have encouraged you to focus a lot of attention on sports, or on learning a lot about mechanical things, or on academic achievement. And you were probably discouraged from focusing your attention on other possibilities that were equally available to you. As a result of years of selectively focusing your attention, you become very skilled and knowledgeable about some things and have little knowledge of other whole domains of human knowledge and experience.
The language that you use is another powerful force that shapes and focuses your attention. You pay attention to what you value, and you have names and distinctions for the kinds of things that you pay attention to. If you or your culture doesn't have a word for some kind of external object or internal experience, it's entirely likely that this aspect of reality will be completely overlooked. If you're a musician, for example, you'll have many words that help you focus on the qualities of sound. If you're a sailor, you'll be able to notice and tell me many things about the wind and weather. The fine points and distinctions of language help us to focus our attention on things of interest and value, and to communicate what we observe to others who share those values. And depending on the profession that you've chosen, or the culture that you're from, your words, thinking, and attention will create a different world to live in than someone else. For example, Eskimos and some skiers have more than 20 words for different kinds of snow, while Tibetans classify over 121 different states of consciousness. If I walk into your business environment, I'll likely find people speaking a very different language than I'm familiar with. If you're into high-end computer technology, I may not have the faintest idea of what you're talking about as you describe the new generations of fiber optic transmission systems and gigabytes of storage capabilities. If you went for a walk in the forest with a botanist, a geologist, and a zoologist, and asked them all what they saw, you would hear very different descriptions of reality. So you see that as a biological and a social being, both your genes and your upbringing condition where and how you focus your attention. The exciting point is that although you do have strong habits and programs of conditioned attention, you can still, at any moment you choose to, focus your attention in a different way. It's sort of like having cruise control on your car. The moment you decide to take more control of your situation, then poof, here you are, focused again, back in control and in the driver's seat.
Now here's a simple method that I use to regularly get more focused. When I want to shift the focus of my attention from one task to another, or if I've noticed that I've been spaced out and lost in my thoughts, I'll snap my fingers as a gesture that affirms that I've just made a shift in the quality and the focus of my attention. Perhaps you'd like to test this out right now. Focus on something, and at the moment that you're ready to shift your attention to something else, snap your fingers and focus on the new object. You'll find that this simple but effective method can help you learn to make your focusing and refocusing of attention much more conscious, more intentional, and more powerful. Whenever concentration is functioning at its best, you'll always find the presence of 4 factors that we think of as 4 good friends of concentration. We'd like to introduce you to them now. You'll be getting to know them quite well one by one as you work with this tape series. Individually, they're known as clarity, stability, introspection, and mindfulness. But people who've really mastered concentration know that they're really team players and work most efficiently as a high-performing team. Clarity, the first companion of correct concentration, gives vividness, vigor, and crispness to the quality of your attention and to your mental images. It makes your focus sharp, bright, and sparkling with light, like a brilliant diamond or like sunshine on morning dew. Clarity carries with it a freshness and aliveness, like the way the air can feel after a rain shower when the sunshine comes out again, all recharged. Clarity is also known as lucidity of mind. The second companion, stability, is the factor that allows your mind to be drawn into the object that you're concentrating on and to be held there, remaining firmly on target, like the steady gaze of a lioness tracking her prey. When your concentrating mind is accompanied by stability, it has a quality of presence about it that's unshakable and mountain-like. The third friend is known as introspection. Introspection is the gatekeeper or the guardian of concentration. Having introspection on board provides you with another level of awareness which is developed to watch vigilantly and guard the concentrating awareness. Introspection is a secondary process critical to building strong concentration. It watches over your mental process to determine whether dullness or scatteredness is starting to infiltrate the mind. It's like having an internal radar screen detector that checks to see if your level of concentration is getting too tight or too loose, both of which can be deadly for concentration to last long. The guardian's job is to be on the lookout for when distraction or sleepiness are on the verge of arising, and to catch those just about too subtle tendencies even before they show up, as well as to become aware when mental scattering and sleepiness are actually present. This concentration guardian sees and recognizes where and when the mind veers off of its object of attention. Finally, we come to the fourth and in many ways the foremost of the 4 friends, the mental factor known as mindfulness. You already had a brief encounter with this player on side 1. Of all the qualities necessary to develop concentration, mindfulness is absolutely indispensable. Mindfulness is the quality of mind that knows what you're experiencing and knows the quality, state, or territory of mind that you're in. For example, as you look out through your eyes right now and know that you're seeing, you're being mindful of seeing. When you inhale, and you're consciously aware of the fact that you're inhaling, and when you exhale, and you know you're exhaling, that's called mindfulness of breathing. With mindfulness, you know, now I'm quite clear and calm. Or, now I'm getting dull and sleepy. Now I'm really angry and frustrated. Since your ability to have control of your mind follows your awareness of how the mind is functioning, mindfulness is really the foundation for all real freedom and power of mind. The mindful quality of attention is the antidote to the mindlessness that can cause so many problems in your life. By developing your powers of mindfulness, the obstacles to concentration will be swiftly recognized, and the subtle adjustments necessary to strengthen concentration will be easily made. Mindfulness teaches you that awareness is virtually infinite in scope and can contain an infinite variety of experiences. The cultivation of concentration gives strength and power to mindfulness, and mindfulness supports your concentration.
Another way to build the power of your mindfulness is to make a brief, concise, mental note that labels whatever you're paying attention to. Remember, what you're attending to may be arising within or around you. Externally, you may notice colors and think to yourself, red, blue, yellow. You may notice makes of cars, thinking BMW, Ford, Toyota, limo, etc. You may also notice that you're aware of your internal reaction to these outer objects or circumstances and can note the presence of attraction and aversion in your mind by thinking liking, attractive, or disliking, or ugly. Your mental noting may label internal experiences such as inhaling or exhaling, or notice other physical sensations such as pulsation, itching, warmth, tingling, or vibration. Any of these variations of noticing will be effective in strengthening your mindfulness in the present moment. We like to think of mindfulness as the friend that keeps you on track and on purpose, reminding you to be present and attentive to what's going on. Without mindfulness, you'd forget what it is you're supposed to be focusing on and drift mindlessly from one thing to another. When it comes to concentration, continuity is truly the key to success, and it's the factor of mindfulness that gives you the ability to maintain continuous awareness of the objects you're concentrating on. As you deepen and grow in your mastery of concentration, you'll come to value mindfulness as your inner advisor who holds the lamp of awareness and keeps it shining from moment to moment. Since mindfulness is so very important, we'll have a lot more to say about how you can develop it on sides 8 and 9.
To appreciate the value and power of mindfulness, it's helpful to consider the enormous costs of mindlessness. Just imagine how many mindless mistakes are made each day because people aren't mindfully present with what they're doing. Imagine how many limbs and lives are destroyed each year because someone wasn't paying attention or wasn't staying focused with what they were doing. And can you imagine how much suffering and pain could be avoided if people learned to listen to the whispering warning signs of disease before they become painful screams? Can you imagine how many relationships suffer and business deals fail because people aren't focusing enough attention where it needs to be, and the little problems escalate into major breakdowns that bring the whole thing down? If you were able to add up all the heartbreak, all the pain and grief, the wasted energy, time, money, and lives that could have been saved if people were more focused and paying attention, it would be absolutely incredible. So if you're really interested in building the power of your concentration, remember this. At any moment that you choose to be more awake and more focused, you can do it. You can choose to pay attention to anything that you like.
Though the actual nature of consciousness or mind is still a mystery, it's clear that it's a dynamic force in constant movement, a continuous stream of changing experience. You can stop this flow as little as you can stop a river, and if you could stop it, there would be no river, because the very nature of a river is to flow. You can't stop the river, but if you observe and understand its ways, you can learn to harness its power by focusing its flow in a desired direction. By learning to master the power of the river in this way, you have the power to direct it as you choose. In the same way, though you can't stop the activity of your mind, you can develop the power of its focus and give it direction. The first step is to learn to observe the flowing stream of the mind and to see its direction. At this stage, concentration serves as an aid to observation. If you find that you're not pleased with the direction that the mind stream is flowing, then you can shift the focus of your attention and redirect the mind's flow. As the focusing power of your concentration grows, the flow of the mind stream will become less turbulent and more peaceful. Concentration introduces a quality of stillness and depth into the flowing mind stream. It's not that the stream ceases to flow, but that as the intensity of your concentration increases, time seems to slow. By way of analogy, can you imagine that the flow of your life experiences is like a motion picture, a sequence of frames of experience quickly passing by, moment to moment? As your concentration increases, you begin to notice that there are gaps between the frames. And as you look more closely, you discover that there are actually subtler frames of experience between the ordinary frames that you've paid attention to all your life. With your focused mind, you watch all these frames, and you begin to see a clearer picture of what's really going on around you and within you. Here you see subtler elements of what you're observing around you. With this exquisite focus of mind, you behold how your inner attitudes, assessments, and judgments shape the flowing mind stream of perception and give meaning to the barrage of your experience. In these frames, between frames, you recognize many options and possibilities that ordinarily flow by unrecognized. Building your concentration is like building a power station that collects and focuses the power of your mind as a reservoir of psychic energy. Intentionally channeled, the mind stream can be directed and focused to generate incredible energy and insight and to produce intended and productive results.
This incredible and mysterious mind of yours functions through the remarkably sensitive and complex architecture of your nervous system. To make a friend and ally of your nervous system is one of your greatest achievements in life. And your success in every endeavor to some degree depends upon it. Your brain and nervous system are a highly efficient system designed to delegate the bulk of information flowing to you to be processed automatically and unconsciously. Though this does protect you from being overwhelmed by more information than you can consciously process, it also means that at any given moment, only the tiniest tip of the iceberg of your total experience is available to your conscious awareness. You'll find that as the power of your concentration grows, you'll be literally rewiring your nervous system to handle information more efficiently and at a higher rate of speed. We've actually seen this demonstrated in the labs we've worked in, where people who have trained with biofeedback and meditation are actually able to accelerate the brain's ability to process information and are able to catch flashes of information that pass others by unnoticed. As William James, the father of modern psychology, once said, "I have no doubt whatever that most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of their potential being. They make use of a very small portion of their possible consciousness, much like a man who out of his whole bodily organism should get into a habit of using and moving only his little finger. We all have reservoirs of life to draw upon of which we do not dream. As your powers of concentration grow and you develop greater mastery of attention, you'll find that many functions that were previously unconscious become available and integrated into your life and work. This is the meaning, then, of increasing or raising consciousness. You learn to take functions that previously ran on automatic and that were often incongruent with yourself or to others who observe your behavior, and you learn to make these patterns more conscious, more congruent, more under your own control. In the process, you become less the victim of your own unconscious habits and more focused as a person who understands his own psychological and physiological machinery. You become more consciously, creatively, and compassionately in control of your life. So by understanding the underlying biological and social forces that have shaped your patterns of attention, you discover the simple fact that a creative intelligence or knowingness is alive within you, and that in each moment that you're awake, here it is, looking out through your eyes, and listening through your ears, and watching and shaping the thoughts in your mind. And in every moment that you're awake, you can focus this attention with clarity and power, a clarity of intent and creative compassion that can transform the quality of your life.